Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I have a book review for you today. I went off and left the book at home when I came into the office today, but I'm going to put up a picture for you. I just finished Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice, and the edition that I was able to read was her illustrated edition. It was some type of anniversary edition. And so it was a beautiful book, and the pictures in it, the actual illustrations, I thought were actually like very, very helpful and kind of helped me even continue to follow along with the story. So pictures are really helpful, right? But obviously this is a series that I had known of. It's one that is very well respected. It's one that I had been looking forward to getting into for a while. And so put it on the TBR and just finished it. But let me give you a little background about Robin Hobb if you're not familiar with her. Looking a little bit about her background and her sort of writing career, it makes a lot of sense. I love to find out where authors take inspiration from. And Robin Hobb was born in California, but actually at a very early age moved up to Alaska around the age of 10. And her life growing up in the wilderness and the wildlife of Alaska not just shaped her as a person, but really shaped her future writing career. And you're going to see themes of rugged coastlands and really untamed wilderness. And I've not read anything else, but I'm imagining all of her works, and certainly from the little bit of information I know about her major works. She did go to the University of Denver, but she never finished a degree, and she was always just drawn back to nature. And again, she has elements of survival, of nature, and one thing that she really hones in on is the bond between animals and humans. And that showed itself even in book one of the Farseer trilogy. But her writing career, she began writing under her own given name, Megan Lindholm. That's her given name, before she'll take the pen name, the pseudonym Robin Hobb. And she began producing urban fantasy. One of the books that she wrote early on was entitled Wizards of the Pigeons. She did a lot of science fiction, and she did a lot of children's stories. But in 1995, she adopted the name Robin Hobb and really delved into fantasy as a series, specifically epic fantasy. And again, this is another example of writers being so particular with the name choice. And it happened too with Dave Wolverton, who assumed the pen name Dave Farland for his epic fantasy, because F, when he was looking at the bookshelves, was right at about eye level. Well, Robin, she chose Robin because of her love for nature and for birds, and obviously Robin must be one of her favorite birds. But then Hobb, because H is again right at eye level, and she was really influenced by the works of Frank Herbert with Dune. So she wanted, out of homage, out of respect for her books, to be close to Herbert's. So Hobb and Herbert. So that is the name she chose, and really that, in addition to obviously being a very gifted writer, helped propel her to have a major breakthrough as an author of epic fantasy. The Farseer trilogy is book one, The Assassin's Apprentice, is what I'll be reviewing today. But let me just give you a couple more of her more famous series. She has the Live Ship Traders series, Traders trilogy, the Tawny Man trilogy, Rain Wild Chronicles, Fitz, and the Fool trilogy. And we're going to see and be introduced to both of those characters here. So a couple more interesting facts about her, and then we'll get into the story. She raised a half-wolf dog named Bruno while she lived in Alaska, and that's going to help inspire elements like the wit bond in her series. She had lived in Washington State for many years and draws from Pacific Northwest settings, specifically that Northwest setting, and you're going to see that here even in book one. She maintains a relatively low public profile, and that's interesting. I think that's definitely more of a generational thing. Not that they are arrogant or above, but there is that element of separation between the fans and the actual artist. A lot more Modern artists, though, modern writers specifically, they're going to utilize social media. They're going to utilize things like YouTube and things like TikTok, where they're going to be able to really communicate and like have a pulse on the audience that is taking in their works. Okay, so what is the plot of this book? Well, in the Six Duchies, and that's going to be the general kingdom that we find our story, young Fitz Chivalry Farseer is an illegitimate heir to the king in waiting, Chivalry. And actually that mistake, as Chivalry is going to see it, is actually going to force him out of public life. He's going to abdicate his being the heir to the throne, and he is going to really seclude himself into isolation. Fitz, what he will go by, is brought to Buckkeep Castle, the capital of the Six Duchies, and he's secretly trained as an assassin by a very mysterious, a very talented, a very knowledgeable mentor, where he is going to learn these deadly arts. There's a couple different types of magic in this world. One is called the skill, and it's very much a telepathic magic system where you are trained in it if you are gifted in it, and you can very much telepathically communicate with one another. There's another element of it which is called the wit. And this is a forbidden magic that bonds a human to animals. So where you can communicate telepathically, but also we'll see later in the story, actually almost embody the animal by using their eyes, using their sense of smell. So there are two types of magics here. So Fitz is sort of put right in the middle of this really awkward, really tense dynamic on a bunch of different fronts. Chivalry, and the names of the royal families are so interesting. I loved how she did that. You either assume a name that you take for yourself, like some type of characteristic that you want to aspire to, or you're given a name based upon the characteristics that you are already known by. So it's just such an interesting dynamic. So the names of our individuals, and I'll get to that in a second, very much reflect for Rob and Hob to cue us as the reader into who is this individual, but also in world for them to sort of communicate to others who they want to be perceived by. Such a cool element, and I really, really enjoyed that. So Fitz is really struggling to find his way. Really, when he's dropped off at the castle, frankly, everyone knows when they see him, you are the reason our beloved heir had to abdicate his position. So he already has an uphill battle that he has to climb, and he is a child. He's like 6 years old when the story starts. So who takes him under his wing? Well, it is Prince Chivalry's loyal stable master. His name is Burrich. And Burrich is not a father figure. Burrich does not have skill, showing any type of care or concern, and actually treats Fitz just like he would treat the animals in his stable. He's not cruel, but he is very much, all right, you've been fed, you've been watered, you have somewhere to sleep. So what more do you need? Let's do our jobs, right? And so their sort of father-son dynamic runs through the whole story. But there's another individual, and I brought him up already, the assassin, who is going to seek out Fitz because of his connections, because of his position where he is, for better or worse, he's part of the royal family, even if it's through incredulous means. And Chade is the name of the assassin, and he is going to begin to train him to serve the king. The king's name is King Shrewd, and he is aging, but he is a very cunning ruler and uses tools and people to his advantage. Let me give you a few other characters here. We have Prince Verity. He is the second son of King Shrewd and now becomes the king in waiting. He is very kind to Fitz. He is very understanding, but he is a soldier and does not have the charisma or the initial understanding of the political sphere like his older brother did. And that's super interesting from the beginning. Though when we step into the story, we don't really understand who these people are. We learn quickly Chivalry was the ideal future king, and the whole kingdom knew it. And when he made a choice, not just to have a child, but to identify that child publicly, he sort of signed his fate. And so Verity is trying to really step into this role now as the new king in waiting. His younger brother, so the third son, his name is Prince Regal. He chose that name because he wants to present himself as very kingly, very royal, and he is going to be Verity's chief opposition to the future throne. Regal is going to be ambitious, and in many ways he's going to be vain and sometimes cruel, especially to Fitz. And so their sort of competition, their rivalry, is going to be a major aspect of the story. What is the main issue of this initial book? Well, a lot of coastal cities in the Six Duchies are being raided, captured. Actually, like entire villages are being shipped off by these unknown red ships. And they are given like a ransom note. And it's very mysterious because they'll say things like, if you want them back, do nothing. If you don't want them back, give us X, Y, and Z. And when they first get this initial note, King Shrewd, Prince Verity, even Fitz is sort of included in some of these conversations at this point. Like, it's like, isn't that reverse? Shouldn't we be paying to get them back if we were going to? What is this? Well, when they return the people, because they did not pay any type of ransom, they go and rush in to find, and they find that something terrible has happened to these citizens, to these coastal workers, to these villagers. And I'm not going to tell you what that is, but they become known as something. They become known as the Forged. And you'll have to read to find out what that actually means. And so the main thrust of the story is Fitz and Chade and even Burrich, as well as Prince Verity, are going to need to begin to explore and find out who are these raiders, what are they doing, and how are they affecting our people like they are doing. So that's your major theme behind the story. But there are some things that I really liked about it. I liked Fitz's character again. He's our main character. He grows. This is definitely a longer story. He's still not an adult. He's definitely like teenage years at the end of it. But this is years that our first book takes. And again, I liked his character, but you do need to know, like, he experiences deep trauma at every turn in this story. And what's incredible about him is that he continues to press on. He continues to endure by finding purpose in his life, by doing his job, by being responsible. And that's something that Burrich teaches him really, really well. And even his own character, which is developed throughout the story. Fitz is a really cool character, and it was fun to see him grow and really overcome so much. The overarching issue of the red ships and the mystery of the Forge is super interesting. I think you'll really enjoy that. And even the sort of mystique behind the royals, and how as Fitz learns more and more about how the court works and how the castle life operates, that's sort of taken away from him. He's not very impressed eventually, because something that Robin Hobb does well is she has protagonists, sure, but they are flawed. So no one is actually perfect. And even in this story, someone as seemingly perfect as Chivalry, who's got it all, well, his decisions early on, his foibles, really propel the whole plot. So even he is not beyond making mistakes. There are some elements that I know are going to be developed in future books, so these aren't criticisms, but I will be excited to see how she answers a little bit more of the magic system, like the skill, this sort of telepathic communication. There's a large element of the story where Fitz is being trained to use the skill by the skill master. His name is Galen, and that's one perspective of it, but we sort of get a little bit more like, oh, there's so much more that we don't understand yet. So I'll look forward to learning and maybe even seeing how Fitz develops his own ability with it. But the other magic system, the wit, where you bond to animals, it's looked down on. I mean, it is hated, this form of magic. And I will really look forward to finding out a little bit more why. Like, why is this so frowned upon? And then, you know, how do these things work? Maybe we won't get the really how. It's just sort of here's what it is and just accept it. I think we will, though. So I'll look forward to that. And the more you read about Fitz, I do hope he gets a little bit more stability in his life moving forward, because my goodness, the poor guy, he goes through it. But he's a trooper. And if you read this and you enjoy it and you get through it, you're going to be a trooper as well. I gave this a 3 out of 5, not because there was anything, frankly, that I disliked. It was just a very adequate book. There was nothing in kind of book one that was like, whoa, that is incredible, to kind of pull it out of the 3 out of 5 rank. So perfectly great book, really enjoyed it, 3 out of 5. No complaints here. But what do you think about this series? Are you one that is very much, this is the 5-star? I saw both perspectives, and I thought that was interesting. There's people that really don't like elements of this book at all. And there's people that are like, this is the greatest thing since Tolkien, or this is even better than anything out there. So where do you fit in it? I'm looking forward to continuing the series, but book 1 of the Farseer trilogy, Robin Hobb's Assassin Apprentice, I enjoyed it, and I hope you do as well. Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested, you can like and subscribe. We'll continue reading books and talking about them here. Thanks for watching. We'll get back together in the next video.